Lesson 16.1, Task 4. Add and subtract polynomials. You can also use either format when subtracting polynomials. Alright, so it says find the difference in 5x squared plus 6y minus 4 minus, and then this is in parentheses, so minus 2x squared plus 7x minus 3y plus 1. So you're subtracting this whole term, okay? So what I found is best, so they're using vertical format, and you see how they've subtracted and they still put this in parentheses. What I have found best for students not to lose that negative sign here is go ahead and distribute the negative. So when we look at this, let's do 5x squared plus 6y minus 4. And then minus negative 2 is going to be plus 2x squared. And then I'm going to minus 7x, so negative times a positive is negative 7x. And then I've got a negative 3y, negative makes that a plus 3y. And then a negative times positive 1 is a negative 1. Okay, so you can see what I've done. I've distributed this negative to each term inside the parentheses. So now I don't need the parentheses. All I have to do is combine like terms. So if you can see, I have an x squared and I have another x squared. So I can combine those. So 5x squared plus 2x squared is 7x squared. And then I have a y and another y. Let's go ahead and pick up the x first. I've got a negative 7x. And then I've got the 6y and the 3y. So positive 6 and positive 3 give me plus 9y. And then I'm going to use blue to do negative 4 and negative 1. So negative 4 plus negative 1 is negative 5. And you can see that I got the same answer as they got here by doing the vertical format. They still had to do negative 2, which is plus 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7, which is the same thing. And then there's only one x, so you don't have to combine it with anything, but you do have to distribute that negative there. And then 6 negative 3 makes that a plus 3, so 6 and 3 give you 9, and negative 4 and the minus 1 give you negative 5. So they get the same answer, but I feel like you're less likely to forget that negative if you distribute that negative to each term inside the parentheses in your first step. Just distribute the negative and get rid of it, and then you're just simply combining like terms. Alright, so it says, why is there no term above the 7x? There was no term to combine that with, so they just brought it down. So you only combine like terms with the same variable with the same exponent. Alright, the horizontal format. Horizontal just means it's laid out horizontally, and then you just combine the like terms like we did before. See here, they are doing the negative 1 times everything, so they did distribute that negative 1 here first, which is always the best idea in order to do that. Alright, so it says what property is used to obtain the third step? 5x squared plus 6y minus 4 plus 2x squared minus 7x plus 3y minus 1. Alright, if you look at that from step 2, so what they're doing is going from this right here came from multiplying that negative sign by everything inside of that parentheses. Alright, so that's the distributive property that we talked about when we looked at this up here. So they did distribute that negative sign so that it was easier to combine like terms. Alright, that is all for task 4. If you have any questions, let me know. Lesson 16.1, task 5. Model with polynomials. You can use the sum and difference of polynomials to solve real-world problems. Propane delivery trucks come in a variety of sizes, but nearly all of them have tanks that are cylindrical and hemispherical ends. What polynomial expression models the volume of the tank of the propane delivery truck shown. Alright, so the cylindrical tank part here looks like a cylinder on the inside and then a hemisphere on the outside. You can see that this has a radius r and this has 3r plus 4 is this height or this distance here of the cylinder part. Alright, so to find an expression for the volume of the tank, you first need to find expressions for the volume of the cylindrical portion and for the volumes of the two hemispheres on the ends of the tank. Write a polynomial that represents the volume of the cylinder portion of the tank. Okay, so that's this part here. Okay, so it's going to be pi r squared h, and we just have to plug in h. H is this height or this distance here. So 3r plus 4 is substituted in for h. So we've got pi r squared times 3r plus 4, and then we're going to distribute the pi r squared to each of these. So it's going to be 3 pi r cubed, r squared times r to the first, same base, you add exponents, remember? We're multiplying now, not adding, so that does change to r3. All right, and then 4 pi r squared. So this would be the volume of the center part of the truck here. All right, together the two hemispherical ends of the tank form a complete sphere. Okay, remember a sphere is like a three-dimensional circle. So if you take this end of the truck here and you take this end of the truck here, if you take the middle part out, you could smush those two ends together and that would make a sphere. All right. How do you know the hemispheres have the same radius so that a sphere is formed? All right. Let's see what the answer is here that they give us. Each hemisphere has the same radius as the cylinder. All right, cylinder, remember, is the inside of the truck, and therefore they have the same radius as each other. If the cylinders were removed from the tank and the two hemispheres were placed together, it would form a sphere of radius r. All right, so again, like what I was saying before, if you take this inside part out, this cylinder part, the two ends would be pushed together and that would make your sphere. All right, so we know that you can find the volume of a sphere by doing 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, if you look this up, you can Google it or whatever. This is the volume for a sphere. Now write a polynomial that represents the volume of the entire propane tank. All right, get my words stumbled. All right, so we found the inside part, the cylinder part here is this. And now we know that the two ends go together to make a sphere, and that is going to be the volume of the sphere. So now write a polynomial that represents the volumes of the entire propane tank. So what we have to do is add those two together. So now we are combining like terms. So we have a pi r cubed, a pi r squared, and a pi r cubed. So what we can do is combine the pi r cubes together. So we've got 3 plus 4/3. Remember, 4/3 is like 1 and 1/3. So we can rewrite this as a fraction. 3 over 1 becomes 9 over 3. And then 9 plus 4 becomes 13. So just combined in fractions. Let's write that out here. May help to see it. All right, so you've got 3 pi r cubed. And anything can be written over 1. But also if I want to combine like terms to add fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So I can say this is 9 over 3 pi r cubed. And the reason I chose 3 here is because this one already has a denominator of 3. So I have 9/3 pi r cubed. And then I have plus 4 pi r squared. And then plus 4/3 pi r cubed. So you can see, so far the only thing I did was rewrite this as a fraction, okay? So I rewrote that as a fraction, and now I can combine like terms. So this one has a pi r cubed, and this one has a pi r cubed. Now, because they're both in fraction form and they have a common denominator, now I can add those two together. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 thirds pi r cubed, and then plus 4 pi r squared. So you do have to remember how to add and subtract fractions and things you have learned in previous classes. So just be aware that that's what we are doing here, is just combining like terms, but when you add two fractions, you must have a common denominator. All right, so it says complete the statements concerning the terms 13 thirds pi r cubed and 4 pi r squared. You blank can combine them in one term. All right, this is a pi r cubed and a pi r squared. Because the exponents are different, you cannot combine them into one term because they have different exponents. So the volume of the tank of the propane delivery truck is represented by the polynomial 13 thirds pi r cubed plus 4 pi r squared. So this would be our final answer. All right, that's all for task 5. If you have any questions, let me know.